Oh. Welcome everyone. I'm sorry if you couldn't hear the music we had just now, but hopefully you can hear us talking to you, and as we go along, you'll do let us know in the chat if there's any problem with the technical side. We like to challenge ourselves with a few technical hiccups just to keep us in the present and spontaneous. But anyway, I'm Lynn, and tonight we have Madhav with us. So Madhav's going to talk a little bit about what is Sahaja Yoga meditation and what we're going to be doing. As per usual, we will go through the realization process for those of you who are here for the first time, and for the rest of us just to strengthen that experience. And a little bit after that, we're going to dwell on one of our powers, which is our right side, our power of the future and our activity. But let me not talk too much, and I'm going to hand you over to Madhav. And Madhav's been practicing Sahaja Yoga for a long time, haven't you, Madhav? In fact, all his life, I believe.
Long time, yeah. So long I don't think I can remember when I first started. So I guess we can get straight to it.
Yep.
As some of you or a lot of you would know, but for any first timers or newcomers, we're going to practice Sahaja Yoga today. And it's a type of meditation started by the lady in the photo you can see on the board. It's called Sahaja Yoga meditation. And it essentially involves taking up the little...
Would you like me to be your pointer?
Oh, yeah, I'd love that. It involves getting the little 3.5 coiled circles over there, which is a representation of the mothering energy within each of us, and getting it to rise along the spinal cord through each of the 7 energy centers or chakras, which each signify different quality within us. And as it gets to the top right, to the 7th, it gives us a state of thoughtlessness, which we call thoughtless awareness, and which Shri Mataji helped everyone achieve. And they've been trying to get, or people generally have been trying to get thoughtless awareness for a long, long time. And occasionally 1 or 2 people would get it, and they'd go and sit quietly and just enjoy it. But in, I think, 1970, Shri Mataji found out how ordinary people like you, me, Auntie Lynn, and everyone else can give it to each other. And she gave it to lots of people. And it's such an enjoyable state and such an enjoyable experience to have and to give that we like to do it once a week or more if we can. And so I think we can just get started.
Sure. Would you like me to do that?
Yeah, sure.
So we're going to go into meditation, into that thoughtless state that Madhav was just explaining. Sorry, we're getting directions from our director of photography. So all it involves actually is asking your own energy to awaken. And we'll do that with hand movements. We use our hands, so we don't use our brain. So we'll be using our right hand on each of those energy centers that Madhav was talking about, on our left side with our right hand. And the left side being, as we talked last week, the channel or the power of our desire. We're going to use our pure desire to awaken those 3.5 coils at the base of the spine, and to establish it for those of us who have already done this. So let's just get started. So just taking our attention inside, we can close our eyes, or we can focus on the candle that's lit there, if you're able to see that. I'm going to close my eyes so I don't get distracted looking around. And just taking a few breaths. And be aware of our heart. The lungs are expanding. So let's put our right hand just on our heart on the left-hand side. So we'll ask that question, the fundamental question, who am I? What am I? And why am I alive? Why am I here? What's my purpose? So we're going to go down towards that energy at the base of the spine. So we'll go to this center, which is just below our rib cage, the center of our self-mastery. And we'll ask the question just to ourself, to our real self. Am I my own master? Quite a few times. Am I my own master? Why do I do anything? Who am I listening to? We're just going down towards the hip center. So we're placing our hand where the body and the leg join. So just that crease there. And this is called the Swadhisthana center. That's the Sanskrit word for it, the chakra's name. And this is adjacent to where our coils of energy, which we call the Kundalini energy, reside, just waiting for us to ask. Mother Kundalini, please give me the true knowledge of myself. Please awaken my pure desire. Mother Kundalini energy, please give me the pure knowledge, the true and pure knowledge of my real self. And she just awakens as soon as you ask her to, but it's you who ask. No one else can make this happen for you. It's your pure desire. So now we'll go back to that center just under the ribs, center of our own mastery. And now we've awakened that pure energy, the pure knowledge of ourselves, so we can now affirm that I am my own master. Say that quite a few times. I am my own master. Coming up to our heart, back to our heart, we'll answer that question. Who am I? I am the pure spirit. That is the eternal part of my being. I am the pure spirit. And my pure desire is to be connected to my pure spirit. And we'll take that journey up a little further, up to the neck center. So it's where the shoulder and the neck join. And we'll turn our head a little bit to the right so you get access to that area. And this center gets obstructed and doesn't allow the energy to pass through if we feel guilty. Unfortunately, we're in a habit of feeling guilty. So let's just take that out and simply say, I'm not guilty. Quite a few times, I'm not guilty. So your mothering energy of Kundalini will take out all that guilt for you. Mother Kundalini, I'm not guilty. I am not guilty. I am the spirit. Now let's come up to the forehead. So we'll just rest the forehead in the palm of our hand. So you're tipping it forward a little bit into your palm, just resting it there. Poor old brain that thinks too much. Now the way to get out of all this thinking is just to forgive everyone and everything that keeps filling our brain. So we'll say that. Mother Kundalini, I forgive everyone. Mother Kundalini, I forgive myself. She's very pleased when you forgive and just let go of all those thoughts, things that have happened, things that have been done. It's all in the past. Let it go. I forgive. I forgive all the thoughts. I forgive everyone. And let's rest that poor old brain on the palm from behind. So you're tipping your head up and putting the palm just underneath your head, holding your head from the back. And here we'll just clear this center even more by just asking Mother Kundalini, if I've done anything wrong, please forgive me. So now you can let it all go. If I've done anything wrong, please forgive me. And coming up, feeling much lighter, stretching the palm, place the center of the palm on the center of the top of our head, which is the fontanelle bone area, which connects us to the all-pervading energy of divine love, which is all around. Just pressing down with the center of the palm, moving the scalp round in a clockwise motion. So you're going towards the left, then towards the front, to your right, and then back. That's your clockwise direction. And asking here, please give me my self-realization. Please strengthen and establish my self-realization. So that's our connection. Connecting our spirit with that all-pervading energy of divine love that's all around. Really desiring to be connected and feel that lovely, thoughtless awareness above our brain. Now just letting the hand stop turning for a moment, raising it up. You should be feeling a gentle flow on the palm of your hand. You might feel it closer. You might feel it further away. You can feel it with the other hand sometimes more strongly. Bring it close, bring it further away. And just noting where you're feeling that flow. Keeping your attention there on top of your head. Bring both hands open in your lap. Let the breath take your attention back up from your heart, up to the top of your head. just with your right hand, just at the level of where the base of the spine is, where that Kundalini energy was residing. Raise your hand up through the central channel, up to the top of your head. You can just lightly touch the top of your head. Let's do that 3 times. Slowly. And the 3rd time. Then again, see if you can feel that flow through the Sahasrara, meaning the 1,000-petaled energy center, the top of our head. And keeping your attention there where you've just had your hand. We'll come back and experience a bit more meditation. Slowly open our eyes. Mudda, if you might want to tell us a little bit about our channels and in the right side in particular. Maybe we can balance our right side as well.
Sure.
Whatever you feel.
Well, how about I give a bit of an explanation about the right side and then we can balance it, because I think the explanation helps a little.
Yeah.
It tells us why we're balancing it. And I had a little bit of warning that I'd be talking about the right side. And my first thought was that it's hard to talk about just the right side. Because if you look at that chart, which you were pointing at before, I might just get you to point a little more.
Point a bit more.
The right side is that yellow line that starts right at the 2nd chakra, or the energy center, and goes all the way up to the 6th. But that's one of 3. There's one in the center, which goes right in the middle. And there's one on the left side from the point of view of the person, the white person, that starts right at the first one and it goes right all the way to the top. So in talking about the yellow one, you have to go, well, it really exists with the other 2. And what is it, I guess, is the first question. And you can sit down until then. I don't need to do any more pointing. What is it? Well, we call it the right side chakra. We call it, the right channel. And in India, I think they call it the Pingala Nadi. And really what it means is it's medically the sympathetic nervous system. It's what regulates your flight or flight response. It regulates your conscious actions. So when you think of something or plan something or do something or we're running or cycling or swimming, those are all via that right side. In Sahaja Yoga, we understand it to be really the conscious side, the expression of our conscious mind and how it does things and thinks things and how our body does things and thinks things. But then the question is, what's all the others and how does it relate to all the others? And the way it relates is that it exists almost in opposition to the left side, the blue line, which is our passive side or our emotional side. And it exists in relationship with the center one because it allows us to balance that passive or emotional side and stay in the center. Because the goal is not to go on the right or the left, it's to go right up to the middle because that's the shortest path and that's the most balanced path. And so, okay, that's the function, the conscious side. I think a little bit about the history is useful to know. And Shri Mataji talks about this. She says that in India, they found out about the channels and the chakras. And when people first found out about the right side, they thought, well, how can we use it to help ourselves grow? And they thought, well, we can go on the right side and get to the top. And that was a bit of a mistake because it meant that they started engaging in things like rituals, so ritual worship, in chanting and mantras. And in of themselves, those aren't bad things. But if you overdo them, because the right side is a doing thing and it's easy to do too much, than it is to do too little, it can cause damage. And I don't mean damage as in permanent damage. I mean that you might get tired because you're doing something a lot, or you might tire yourself out, and you might tire other parts of yourself out because it's related to the left one. It'll tire the left one out as well because you'll swing between the two like a pendulum. So what's the goal? The goal is to use it to do things, but to do things in balance and to do things to get right to that top chakra. So an example would be getting up in the morning is a conscious thing that you do, and it's a conscious thing that you do to meditate in the morning, because that's how you get to the top chakra and you get into thoughtless awareness. What else does the right side do? I think I can talk quickly about the qualities of the right side. And as I said, there's action, planning, conscious decisions. There's also kind of positive things that we think of, like being responsible, being caring, being active. But again, we also have to go back to balance. You can be too responsible.
And plus you have the desire on the left side, and it's the carrying out of the desire, whether it's a good desire or a bad desire or some pure desire.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. These two, left and right channels, are supposed to work together. And the example that Shri Mataji gives is it's like the accelerator and brake to a car. Yeah. You don't want to go too fast and you don't want to go too slow. You want to stay right in the middle and get right to the top. And if you can take the analogy a little bit further, engaging in the right side too much makes you very interested in material things, because it becomes a doing thing. So you have to get more, and by more it can be more work or more money or more things in your house. And if you engage in that material side, it means that you're not engaging in your spiritual side. And it's
so the materialism. The left side is the material. You want to be warm, you want to eat something, but then the right side takes it further. You want to have the best.
You want to have the best, the most. And you become so interested in the best and the most that you forget what's important.
And why you wanted it in the first place.
So it's like the desire to have one car to get around.
Yeah.
Well, then you say, well, why
so
don't I have
go
10?
to your meditation program.
Class. Exactly. But then you decide, well, why don't I get 10 cars? The issue is you can only drive one at a time.
Yeah. Well, in case I'm feeling sporty, I can take my sports car.
You can take the sports car. And a good example that Shri Mataji also gives is there's a film called Modern Times by Charlie Chaplin.
Oh, yeah.
And if you've ever seen it, there's a lovely scene where, or not a lovely for Charlie Chaplin, where he gets sucked up into the gears and he becomes consumed by his work because he becomes too right-sided and too material. And you see him going up and down the gears and being force-fed by a machine. And that's him becoming too right-side material. And what happens in the end? He decides that he just wants to walk off into the distance and have a nice life. And it's not about making lots of money or work, or it's just about being happy. And I think that's all I wanted to talk about the right side. I think it'd probably be useful to have a meditation now. Mm-hmm. Oh, I said we do balancing. Okay. So as I said before, if you do too much on the right side, you become overheated or overexcited, or you think too much, and you have trouble settling down. So the easy thing that we've talked about before is you just put your left hand up.
Oh, yeah.
And your right hand on your lap. And you can ask mothering energy, because it starts right at the bottom, to take all the heat out of your right side through your left hand into the air. So when we do that now, we can close our eyes, just take a deep breath. We can say to the mothering energy, please take all the heat, all the fatigue, and all the thinking and planning and doing out of our right side through the left hand into the air. And we say air because that's a cooling element. It's not like fire. It's nice and cool. So we can just put our attention right at the top of our head, and you can repeat that to yourself as in Mother Kundalini, or the mothering energy. Please take all the heat of our right side through the left hand into the air. And as you say it, just try and feel on your left hand what's happening. Is it cool or hot? But try and keep your attention also on the top of your head. we just put our left hand on our lap, just see how we feel for a sec. So a good way, you can just see how you feel. Are your thoughts a bit slower? Are you a bit calmer? And if you want afterwards, you can do it again. And I don't want to jump the gun, but there's another way you can relax yourself. And I think at the end, you're going to show us how to raise our Kundalini again,
Kundalini and
do a bandhana, or give ourselves a protection.
Yep.
Or you can do the last bit, and you can use that to cool yourself down. And so you put your right hand on your left. And what we're doing is we're going to raise our right hand to pull the left up, because we're going to use the brake a bit, and we're going to take our foot off the accelerator. And that's what we're doing. You can do it 7 times or 14 times, but don't do it too many times, just as many times as you feel.
Unless you're someone who needs to do it 108 times.
Unless you need to do 108 or 1,008, but best to start with 7 and then work your way up. I think we're at 6.
We could be at 6.
So we'll just do one more of it. And what else can you do? I think you can.
That's nice.
That's nice.
Ideally, we would have some ice packs.
Ice packs.
Some nice cold foot soak.
Nice cold foot soak. And you can put your feet in the water. And by foot, we mean you have a bucket of water.
If you don't have an ocean handy, however, if you online have an ocean handy, you could put your feet in the ocean.
You can go for a walk or go fishing, or you can go
and having bare feet on the grass.
And if you don't have any of those things, you can just have a bucket of cool water with a little bit of salt.
Do another foot soak. Yeah. But tonight we won't, but maybe later. We'll all do that later.
And if you don't have a bucket, you can even put your hands in a little bowl of water.
Yes, yeah, true.
Just a little bit of salt. And those are kind of practical things, because the right side is a doing thing, a doing side. You can have to do doing things to relax.
Yeah. And other people know if you're getting too far in the right, because you'll be pressing on them in some way. So, our speech and everything gets a little harsh around the edges. But someone else can probably tell you whether you've gone too far. But you'll know, because you go, oh, I should have said that. Oh, why did I say that?
Especially late at night when you're trying to sleep.
Yes.
And you just lie awake staring at the ceiling. That's usually when you're right-sided. So you can do a foot soak. Yeah. You can put your left to your right.
To the right.
Or you can put your left hand up and ask the mothering energy to take all the heat out of your right side through your left. Those are nice things to do.
They are. And you just experiment, because, it's not actually a prescription. It's just whatever you feel like doing, and it works. Nothing works. You keep trying everything, and then you find the thing that actually does cool you down and bring you into that thoughtless state. It's like your medicine cabinet.
Very much. It's kind of see how you feel. It's always a feeling thing, an experience thing.
Yeah.
And then you do little things to kind of help you feel and experience a little better, and get you to thoughtless a little easier.
I read something interesting. Joanne, if you're watching, posted something from Mark Taylor. He put that he's very good at criticising. He said talking, having that mental conversation where you're judging everything. And so really has to make an effort not to be in that habit of judging things. So that's the right side only. But, if you're aware of it, then you take all those actions you mentioned to avoid that habit and somehow to break it.
Exactly. And the goal being to get right in that centre way, that little central channel where you're not thinking about the past, which is the left. You're not thinking or planning about the future or doing things, which is the right. And you're just there in that present moment, being the witness. And I think we have a talk.
We do.
Yeah.
Should we do that?
Sure.
All right. Bear with me, folks. I've got it all organised, except when I go to do it, I forget. As soon as the pink screen comes up, yeah. And of course, if anyone has any questions, do save them for us.
Both things are wrong to go to extremes on the right or to the left. Now let's see what happens physically. As I told about the cancer on the left hand side that we do, physically what happens to people who are futuristic? We have a center, especially for futuristic behavior, called as Swadhisthana chakra, which is in the gross manifesting the plexus called the aortic plexus within us. Now this Swadhisthana chakra is very important for human beings, especially for people who are developed people. With this chakra, actually, we convert the fat of the stomach for the use of the brain. Now this is the center of the Surya, of the sun. Now when we start thinking, these cells are converted in such a way that they become useful to the brain. Now if you are thinking all the time you are thinking, then what will happen? I mean, the horns are not going to grow out of that. You are consuming all that. And when you are consuming all those cells, you have to have replacement. And for that replacement, this Swadhisthana chakra has to work very hard to convert the cells for the use of your brain. Now, when it is doing that, there are other things which this Swadhisthana chakra has to look after. For example, your liver, your pancreas, your spleen, your kidneys, all are to be looked after by this center, and also uterus for the ladies. Now when there's only one work is given to this Swadhisthana chakra, and it cannot do any other work, then other things are neglected, so you develop a terrible disease called liver trouble. Now liver trouble is another thing that you do not feel yourself. Others know that you are liverish, the way you are hot-tempered, the way you are fussy, the way you always snarl at people, and the way you are never satisfied with anything, the way you criticize others. All this is liverish, and such liverish people are never happy with themselves because liver looks after their attention. And those who have liver problems, their attention is horrid. That goes like this. See, you cannot keep your attention straight. On the street you will walk straight into a car because you are looking at something which you are not supposed to look. But all the time you are looking at like this, you cannot walk. I mean, you won't find any animal like that who walks like this, but only human beings do it. If you see them on the street, you'll be amazed, where are they walking? They don't walk straight, they don't walk straight, but their eyes are going this way, that way, because the attention is wobbly. The attention is wobbly because of a bad liver. So this liver is a very, very important thing. Now this liver has a special capacity to extract all the poisons from the body as heat. And the heat in the body is to be transformed or should be conveyed to the blood or the water in the blood, and that has to be taken out of your body, maybe as perspiration or in another forms. But what happens? That when this liver is out of gear, it cannot do it. It cannot pass this heat into the bloodstream, and the heat remains in the body, and you really become heated. And that heat makes all these problems for you. So, in Sahaja Yoga, what happens that when Kundalini rises, she changes the form of the blood. The hydrogen and oxygen which are placed because of this heat and all that, in a very funny way, like this, like that, and they start receiving this heat within them. That's why those people who have bad livers feel little heat when the Kundalini rises. But one can cure it by giving it that peace and comfort to that liver organ, and you can definitely cure your liver, no doubt about it. Then the second thing that happens to you is the pancreas, which gives you diabetes. Only a person who thinks too much gets the diabetes. For example, an Indian farmer doesn't know what diabetes is, but then you stop your sugar. But that's not the way to stop your diabetes. Diabetes comes to you because you think too much. The doctors won't understand this. That's why they say it is incurable. But because they cannot connect thinking with the disease. And this is what happens when you are all the time thinking like mad, then diabetes takes place. And this diabetes is also curable if you get your enlightenment. You can cure also the diabetes of other people, but because this vital power, which is integrated of all these three powers, flows through you, and you can replenish, you can give more to other people who are exhausted of it, and sort of you can fill them up with this power and you can kill. The third one is the worst of all that happens to people is blood cancer because of spleen. Spleen is one thing very important, that it is the center of peace within us. The one who doesn't have a proper spleen cannot be a peaceful person. Now, it's a very simple thing, but doctors cannot connect it, nor all science-oriented people can connect it to something very, very simple. And the simple thing is that when we eat our food, if we are frantic, we are out to get trouble with the spleen, and we can get blood cancer. Now, if the mother is of that temperament or a father is of that temperament, the children might be born with blood cancer. Now, we will be happy to tell you that in New York, we had a case of blood cancer. And when I was in India, in a village, somebody came and told me that such and such boy is sick. He's only 16 years with blood cancer, and doctors have declared that he's going to die within 2 weeks' time. They always declare, they are good at declaration only. And when this case came to me, I told them that I cannot do anything, I'm in a village, but you can telephone to one of the Sahaja Yoginis. She was in England, now she's in New York, and she will look after this case. You'll be amazed that the boy was cured completely. He came out of the hospital, he came to see me, and now he's gone back to his studies. I mean, like this we have cured many cases of blood cancer. But here we are not to cure people by any or healing anyone. That's not our job. It happens spontaneously as a byproduct of the Kundalini awakening. Main thing is we have to make you doctors. We have to make you knowledgeable people. We have to make you collectively conscious human beings who have to enter into the kingdom of God to reside there in His peace, bliss and joy. Now this trouble of also of kidney, of high blood pressure, all that is due to this. People worry, they are frantic, you see, and this franticness comes to us just as a matter of habit. I have known people, as soon as you say, oh, you have to go by aeroplane or somewhere, suddenly the aeroplane word triggers that frantic, oh, they get mad. They don't know what they are up to. They will forget their passport, they will forget their luggage, they forget this, that, frantic. At the airport if you go, you'll find this left navi, as we call it, the center is the spleen was frantic. Now, when you eat your food or do any such work, there is an emergency created and more blood is needed to digest that food. So this spleen, poor thing, works very hard to create that extra amount of blood cells. But at the time you are eating, you are also reading a newspaper. That's the worst thing one should do in the morning. Horrible. You read the newspaper, you are eating the food, the spleen goes off because another emergency comes up. Then you get onto your bicycle with a sandwich in the hand. It's even worse than that. And you are rushing to your work, suddenly you find a big jam on the way, then you are even very badly placed with the situation and you get so frantic and you don't understand. And the person who is in front of you goes saying, oh, what's wrong with this fellow? Why can't he drive fast? And the same fellow is saying something exactly the same to the another fellow who is going ahead. So this mad race is on, this rat race is on, and if you are eating your food in such a hurry and in such franticness, you develop this trouble which is very dangerous, called as blood cancer, and among young people is very common. Now, the last and not the least is the trouble of the heart. When you pay too much attention to all these outward things, to material things, to your all material advancement, to your physical advancement, and to so much of computerization of your brain, then you neglect the necessary attention to your spirit which resides in your heart. And so the spirit receives. And when the spirit receives, you get a heart attack. Only a person who is right-sided gets a heart attack, and never a person who is a left-sided. I told this to a doctor, and he told surprisingly that in a mental hospital, we never need a cardiograph. We do not need it. They never get a heart attack. A madman never gets a heart attack. Surprisingly, a person who is mad is using his heart, his left side, his emotions, and his heart should go out, but no, his brain goes out. Can you imagine? And the one who uses the brain, his heart goes out. This is the balance created by nature in us. See how cleverly the nature is trying to guide us in the center. Don't go to the extremes, keep to the center, and then when you are absolutely in the center, then you get your evolution very quickly. So this is the right side that we have, the futuristic side, and as you know, we are all very futuristic by temperament.
That was very interesting.
It is very interesting. I heard something from a psychologist actually that I'd asked them a question, how do you stop your memory from failing? Is there some psychological tricks? And they said, yes. He said, yeah, don't multitask. So multitasking is very bad. So basically you need to be in the present, not be doing so many things at once. So interesting. Should we, would you like to take us through a nice meditation?
Sure. No, that sounds nice.
Yeah.
Let's just do it as we did before. So we'll put both our hands on our lap. Just close our eyes. Take a big breath in and out. Just get settled. We'll take our right hand right at the base of our spine and we'll raise it. At the same time, raising our attention through our spinal cord, taking it right to the top of our head. That's one. We'll do it 3 times. As we do it, just say to ourselves, Mother Kundalini, or mothering energy, please establish my self-realization. Please come to the top of my head. And you can do it 3 more times, or as many times as you feel necessary. Just relax and get your attention to the top of your head. So I'm going to do it 3 more, I think. Once you're ready, just put your hand on your lap. Just keep your attention on the top of your head. Just try and sit in silence and just watch the top of our head. And if any thoughts come, you can just watch them go by. Or say to yourselves, not this one. Just let it drift. Just let it drift and keep your attention right on the top of your head. If you want your attention wanders, just do that 3 more times. Raise your attention from the base of your spine to the top of your head. Just let the music wash over you and keep your attention on your head. Or you can try and listen right from the top of your head, or imagine you're listening from the top of your head. can just open our eyes. And I think time-wise, I think we're ready to finish up. I think
We can probably raise our kundalini and put on our bandhan.
Sure.
Want to do that? In case somebody doesn't already know how to do that, we can do it together.
Sure. So in the beginning, you did a meditation and you did a process of going up on each side. And the quick way to do it is by doing a kundalini and a bandhan. What we mean is we're going to raise the mothering energy on our left hand and revolve our right hand around it. We're going to take it all the way up to the top energy center and tie it up there so it stays there all day. And the first time we tie it with 1 knot. And the second time we do it with 2 knots. And the third time, to really secure it there, we do it with 3. And you can do this throughout the day whenever you're feeling a bit frazzled or stressed or tired. It just takes it right to the top. And then we're going to give ourselves a bundle of protection. And at the same time, it's also balancing ourselves, like we talked about earlier. So we start with our right hand on our left side, and we take it all the way to our right side, and then back. And that's 1. So we do it 6 more times, so 7 in total. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And again, whenever you're feeling too stressed or tired or busy or active or sleepy, you can do that all over again. And it's quick and easy.
And even before you leave the house, especially if you're going in that traffic that's wild.
You're going in
Put
traffic.
the bandhan on before you go.
If you're going to bed, if you're waking up, whenever you go somewhere, it's always a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
And I think the last thing is homework. What's the homework for this week?
The homework is a daily meditation of 10 minutes each day.
And the best advice I've heard about when to do it is you do it at a time when you're never going to have to be worried about being interrupted or going somewhere else. So if you're waking up early in the morning, wake up early enough that you don't feel like you've got to cut it short or that you don't feel like you've got to look at your watch.
And if you're not a morning person,
then you do it at night, and you do it at a time when you don't have to worry about dinner or dishes or going to bed.
Yeah.
You do it at a time when you don't feel any pressure to do anything else. So cut it short or check it.
As per your convenience.
As per your convenience. Whatever suits you best, as long as you're doing it. That's the important thing.
We will talk to you in a minute. We'll give you the power to actually speak. You can use the chat and ask any questions or give any feedback. That's also possible. If you're here in person, of course, feel free to speak. And we'd love to hear from you. And what else was I about to say, but have immediately forgotten?
What's happening next week?
Oh, yes, next week. So we have something special on next week. We may, the week after, do the foot soak that we mentioned. So that's just reminded me, so that might be nice. So we'll let you know whether it's next week or the week after. I think we've got next week organised something lovely about the spirit and the heart. And so then we'll start letting you know what you need to do for your foot soak the week after. So if you haven't got a bucket that fits your feet in it, just a laundry bucket, do purchase one. But we'll remind you about that. So we basically make a little ocean in a bucket. So we need some salt, any salt, handful of salt in that. We have a towel to dry our feet and also a little mug of water to rinse the water, the salty water from our feet, and then dry them nicely. And it's amazing how the elements balance us. So that'll be nice. You reminded me about that, Madhav, talking about the right side. So foot soak is great for clearing right side. Strangely, we have to use the right side a lot. So it needs a bit of clearing. But do ask us any questions right now. We have a message, I believe. Yes, Robert. The video we just heard, I will send it to you. I can tell you what it is basically it is advice on the right side, and it comes from a larger talk, so it is an excerpt, but I can post that on the WhatsApp or send it to you by email, Robert, because you are on the email list. So, of course, if anyone would like to receive daily 10-minute meditations, that's a thing. You can be a part of that. If you're not already, if you're on the WhatsApp group, you're a part of that. But if you don't like to use WhatsApp, then we can do email or messages, no problem. So just let us know. I'll put that slide on in a minute, which is just freemeditation.com.au, and everything's available on that website, including the ability to ask us stuff. So we'll be happy to do that. Let's see if there's any more questions, and I'll also give you the power to speak. Yep, so you can. Thank you, iPhone. iPhone just said, thanks for the great session. Thank you, iPhone. Very, very nice of you. Oh, Grace is there as well. Hi, Grace. I've given you the power to unmute in case.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the meditation. Thank you.
Fantastic. Lovely feedback, Grace. Thank you.
Was it Mozart you played?
Actually, that was an original composition of our pianist from Queensland.
Oh,
Gaspar.
yes.
Yes. So I had a
Yes.
variety of musics lined up, including Mozart, but I went with Gaspar for no particular reason.
Good choice. Can you send it to us as well?
Yes, certainly. Will do.
Please. Thank you.
The music and the video coming to you.
Okay, good.
Well, thank you everyone for joining. I think we're all feeling nice and silent. So I will leave you with the slide that shows you what the website address is and a bit of music.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Got some music here. It's playing. Good night, everyone. We're going to close up now, and we look forward to meeting next time.